hi to Louise and Ruth. I'm delighted today to be discussing the launch of our brand new Parental Transition Coaching Qualification, accredited through the ICF. We've actually started to abbreviate this internally now to PTCQ because it just sort of rolls off the tongue. I think Parental Transition Coaching Qualification is a bit of a mouthful. So just as a very brief background, I'm the co-founder of P&P Coaching, which stands for Parent and Professional. So it comes as no surprise that we've been in this field now for a long time, focusing almost entirely on parental transition coaching. So because we've been doing this for at least 14 years now, we've decided to take all of the research, the experience, that we have developed between us and made this into a program for coaches, because we want to develop a benchmark and a really high standard for all coaches to adopt for their own coaching practice. So today we're just going to have a chat really about the qualification, and we've got Louise with us, we've got Ruth with us, and it'd be great for you to both just introduce yourselves. So Louise, let me hand over to you first of all.
Thanks, Helen. So my background is business development for companies. I was in corporate life for about 20 years, and I then transitioned into coaching about 16 years ago, and I specialised quite quickly in parental transition, or as it was known back then, it was basically just maternity coaching, but it's really evolved as a practice and a profession since then. So I've been working with Parent and Professional for about 7 years now, and I am the facilitator for the programme, which we've written and gained accreditation from the ICF, which we're pleased about, and really looking forward to getting started on it.
Brilliant, thanks Louise. Ruth?
Hi Helen, yes, so I'm Ruth. I have been in antenatal and postnatal work for over 10 years, and prior to that I was in the corporate world. I'm looking for something else to move into. I discovered Parent and Professional, and it looks like a really interesting way for me to go with my own career development, my own professional development. I'm very excited about the course.
Brilliant, and it's great of course to have you, Ruth, because I know that you are an active current participant of the programme, so you have experienced it already firsthand. So we're looking forward to hearing how you found it from the perspective of being on the programme, and how hopefully it's going to benefit you in the future as well. So Louise, let's start by finding out a little bit more about the programme.
So what we're doing through the programme is looking at the key principles involved in parental transition coaching. So these are things such as transitions, a big focus on that, change management, the identity change that people will go through, recognising and supporting the really strong emotions that our clients will have, because this is often a really stressful time. You've got the hormonal aspect, you've got the fact that you're adapting from being a working professional to a parent, then back to being a working parent, separation anxiety, guilt, so much going on. So how do we as coaches support and manage that? Also the logistical perspective. So a lot of the things we'll be talking through are how do we support clients who are exiting the business and then reintegrating again, potentially a year later, sometimes sooner. What sort of things does that look like? Stakeholder management, communications with your manager, handover plans, all those sort of things. So the logistical aspect. We'll be reflecting on our own experiences. It could be our own birthing experiences, if we're a parent, our own parenting journeys. So this is designed to help us explore who we are as coaches and how we're going to show up in the room, because a lot of people who are interested in parental transition coaching have been through similar experiences themselves at work, and it's great because it drives that passion to be supporting other parents. But there's also obviously the other side to it, where if you've had your own difficult journey, how does that present for you as a coach? So we'll be exploring ourselves as coaches. And then also the organisational dynamics. What does that look like? How do we support coaches who are going through things such as organisational restructures, redundancy, corporate politics, potentially difficult situations with managers and things like that. And also looking at the professional ethics and contracting. So this is slightly different. Parental transition coaching is slightly different to career coaching, executive coaching, life coaching. The boundaries and the ethics are slightly different. So we'll be looking at that and exploring what we can do to sort of give the best coaching experience to our clients.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought up the differences actually between the different types of coaches and how parental transition coaching is very different from regular coaching and career coaching and life coaching. And I think, as I don't know if you would agree, but as we've been developing the program and researching it, it feels like the difference has become more and more apparent. I think right at the very beginning, we drew that picture, had the image of the cake, didn't we? And we said, well, you know, these are, say, like the first 2 or 3 layers of the cake. And if you're already great at coaching, you've got all of that. And then the parental transition element is the last layer of the cake, you know, so it's you're building on your coaching principles and foundations. But I feel like as we've gone into this more and more, that the differences are massive. And as you've just highlighted, the emotional journey that people go on, that whole personal and the professional element, and that massive amount of change of identity is enormous, change of everything really, isn't it? All at once, really, all in the period of 12 to 18 months, depending on how long people take off. But it's massive, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And we've obviously pitched the programme at for experienced coaches. There will be an expectation that people coming onto it will understand what contracting is, the benefit of supervision, you know, how to manage a coaching session. But there's definitely that added element that isn't present in other coach training, which is how do you support clients who are going through such a stressful time? And there'll be quite a lot of emotions that will be shown possibly in your first session with them. How do you manage that when there's potentially so much that you might want to be covering, that they might want to be covering? Yeah, so it's been really interesting exploring the different dynamics involved in it.
So who would you say are the people that are most likely to benefit from doing this programme?
So coaches who are probably looking to develop a niche area, we're finding a lot of people interested in the programme have either been through the journey themselves and therefore have that passion. You could be new to coaching, you might have done a coaching qualification and looking to develop a niche area, or you might be a generic coach and looking to specialise. You could already be in HR, learning and development, and want to increase your skill set. You may not necessarily have a recognised coaching qualification, but if not, then we'll need you to have done some coaching. There'll be an expectation you've got some experience. So this isn't the basic training. That's or possibly even from outside the coaching profession, but again, you'll be expected to have a really good understanding of active listening, supporting the client. How do you hold space in the room? How do you manage the complexity of a client who is emotional and maybe triggering you yourself, and how do you manage that in the situation, and then what do you do with that afterwards? Where do you go for support if you need it? So that sort of thing.
Yeah, so you could either be an individual self-employed coach, or you could be part of an internal coaching or learning and development team, wanting perhaps to be the specialist parental transition coach in-house, so that people have the choice as to whether they want to be coached by someone internally and perhaps benefit from the additional mentoring that internal person might bring, yeah. Or have the choice of choosing an external coach as well. I guess it depends on people's circumstances, doesn't it? But that's great that when we get our cohorts together, as I think you have in this first one that's ongoing at the moment, that mix, I think it would be great for people to be able to mix. And I know also that we've, with the cohorts that's about to begin, we're looking at people joining from different countries as well. So we've got the global element. And I think that's what I love about parental transition coaching. It's a human experience, isn't it? And no matter where we are in the world, we're all going through the same thing. Our policies may be a little bit different and our entitlements for leave might be a bit different, but this course is mainly around the human side and the behavioural side and the change side, isn't it? So it's going to attract people from any location, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely designed as a CPD course, which is also why we decided to accredit it with the ICF. And it's sitting within their continuing coach education unit programme. So coaches can gain an additional qualification and continuing coach education units through it.
Yeah, I mean, that's an added benefit, isn't it? Because I know that as a practicing coach through the International Coaching Federation, that the fact that you have to get these extra 40 hours CCEs over a period of 3 years is always something at the back of your mind. So you've always got to have a plan in place as to how you're going to get your hours. And I think it's fantastic because this program is going to give you almost half the amount of units that you need. And I remember the core competencies one is the hard one to get, isn't it, as a coach, to get continuous practice in the core competency area. And you need 24 hours for the ICF core competencies to renew your accreditation, and this program is going to give 11 of those core competencies. And how do you actually get the core competencies from your perspective then? How does this program help you develop that and get that practice that you need to get those standards?
So there are 12 live webinars that cover the course of a parental transition journey. And half of that 1 hour session is dedicated to exploring a case study material. So it's experiential learning, and it enables people to go into breakouts, do some small group learning from each other, explore the case study, discuss the themes that are coming up, do some practice coaching, and then come back into the sort of main group area and share what came up in their sort of individual sessions. So that ticks the box in terms of core competency, because you're actually practicing the coaching skills that we're discussing in the webinar themselves. And it seems to be quite beneficial at the moment. It certainly seems to be something that the current cohort are enjoying. And then when we all come back into the room, I also share my experience of what happened. These are real case studies that actually happened, and they're all quite challenging ones. So I share how I managed them, things that I thought I did well, didn't do so well, because I'm still learning, even as an experienced coach. And then people take that away and explore it further for their own learning.
Brilliant, thanks Louise. Ruth, I'd love to hear from your perspective. So it's great to hear from Louise as the programme facilitator, but yes, as a participant of the programme, why did you decide to join up in the first place?
Well, as I said earlier, with the experience I have behind me, both in corporate world and in the parenting world, and being a parent myself and having gone through well, many transitions, but into parenting is definitely one of the biggest in life, isn't it? When I looked into lots of different options for my own professional development, the one that I preferred more than anything was Parent and Professional, because of the mission, basically the mission statement of this is what we want to do. We want to make, you were looking for the equality in the workplace for everybody. Another phrase that resonated with me was unconditional positive regard that was listed in your statement, and it just sort of all felt right to be the right one. It felt like it was sitting in the right place. So I was really, really grateful for the opportunity to be in the first cohort. Very grateful and thoroughly enjoying it. Brilliant.
What are you enjoying the most? What does it feel like to be in one of Louise's sessions? This is where you get to spill the beans.
It's really relaxed. It's a healthy approach in that it feels comfortable to be able to just talk and be open. It's a safe space. We can all have our feelings and share them, knowing that we can sort of hold that space for each other, which is great practice for going forwards anyway, as we know. The breakout rooms have been a good opportunity not only to get to know each other a little bit better and support each other a little bit better. I think it's fair to say that we're all exploring the scenarios in different ways each week, and that's working quite well, because we're also pushing each other to be better. So it's become a really healthy growing environment, a bit like a greenhouse, but not so hot.
Yeah, great. And what are you thinking about doing with the qualification at the end? How is it going to enhance your career and your practice?
Well, I love the idea of working with PMP. I'll just drop that in there straight away. But no, I want to further develop my own practice of working with parents and just take it to the next level, which this qualification will do for me. I also would like to be able to reach out and work with parents who are less able to access funding, for example, for getting this sort of support through an organisation, and just work out with lower income families to see how I can support them as well.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Ruth. Any further thoughts from you, Louise? Anything that we haven't covered already about the programme?
I think that's probably most of it. We've obviously got information we can send out to anyone who's interested, so they'll just need to email us and we can get that sent out. Information on our website as well. I think that covers the main bits, yeah.
So if I was interested in signing up, what would I have to do? So should I visit the website first and then you're going to send me more information, costs, etc., starting dates?
Yeah, so website address is www.parentandprofessional.co.uk, and then there's a link, a tab at the top which says Academy, so that's our training programme, and in there you'll see some more information about it, and then there's an information contact box sort of later down, so you can either click on that and send your details through that, or email us at info@p&pcoaching.co.uk.
Perfect, thank you. I'm just gonna, all right, I just stopped